The Mercedes-Benz W123 is one of the very few cars in history that earned a reputation for never giving up. A car so reliable that people stopped measuring its life in years and started measuring it in generations. And once you understand how and why it was built, you'll realize this wasn't just a vehicle, it was a promise made in steel. When Mercedes-Benz introduced the W123 in the mid-1970s, the automotive world was changing rapidly. Fuel crises were reshaping priorities, regulations were increasing, and many manufacturers were beginning to cut costs wherever possible. But Mercedes chose a completely different path by focusing almost obsessively on durability, safety, and long-term reliability, designing the W123 as a car that could be driven every single day for decades without losing its integrity. And this philosophy was visible from the very first touch because the doors felt heavy and solid, the body panels were thick, and the overall construction felt closer to industrial machinery than consumer transportation. And under the hood, Mercedes offered engines that were deliberately understressed, especially the diesel variants that became legendary for running hundreds of thousands of miles with only basic maintenance, which is why in the United States, the W123 quickly gained a reputation as the ultimate workhorse, becoming a favorite among taxi drivers, professionals, engineers, and families who needed a car that would start every morning, no matter the weather, mileage, or conditions. And unlike many modern cars that rely heavily on electronics and software, the W123 was built around mechanical honesty, meaning most of its systems were simple, logical, and repairable, allowing owners and mechanics to keep the car alive with skill rather than specialized equipment. And driving a W123 even today feels calm and confident rather than exciting, because the steering communicates the road clearly, the suspension absorbs imperfections with dignity, and the engine delivers power smoothly without ever feeling strained. And inside the cabin, the design is purposeful and timeless, with high-quality materials, clear gauges, and controls that feel intuitive even decades later, creating an environment that prioritizes comfort, visibility, and focus rather than distraction. And over time, this approach resulted in something rare, a car that aged gracefully instead of becoming obsolete. Because while technology moved forward, the core values of the W123 remained relevant. And as years passed, many examples crossed 300,000, 500,000, and even 1 million miles, turning the car into a symbol of trust and endurance across different cultures and continents. And in many families, the W123 stopped being just transportation and became part of their story, passed from one owner to another, surviving economic changes, lifestyle shifts, and even entire generations. And as modern cars became lighter, more complex, and more disposable, the W123 stood as a reminder of an era when manufacturers believed that a car should justify its existence through longevity. And today, when enthusiasts restore or preserve AI W123, they are not chasing speed or luxury, they are preserving a mindset, one where engineering mattered more than trends and reliability mattered more than marketing. And that is why seeing a W123 on the road today still feels special, not because it is rare, but because it represents discipline, patience, and craftsmanship, values that are increasingly difficult to find in modern automotive design. And ultimately, the Mercedes-Benz W123 is remembered not for how fast it was or how advanced it looked, but for how faithfully it served its owners year after year, proving that when something is built correctly from the beginning, it doesn't need to impress loudly, it simply needs to endure. As time moved on and the automotive industry became obsessed with speed, technology, and short product cycles, the Mercedes-Benz W123 quietly separated itself from the rest by doing nothing dramatic at all. Because while newer cars arrived with more features and promises, many of them disappeared just as quickly. But the W123 stayed, continued driving, continued working, and continued proving that true quality doesn't need to announce itself. And across the United States and around the world, these cars became living proof that long-term engineering beats short-term innovation, with stories of W123s still running as taxis, daily commuters, and family cars even after decades of hard use. And what made this possible was not magic or luck, but Mercedes' refusal to compromise. From corrosion-resistant bodies to engines designed to operate far below their limits, and suspensions meant to absorb years of abuse without falling apart. And as modern cars became more isolated and digital, the W123 began to feel more human, more mechanical, more honest, reminding drivers what it felt like to actually control a machine rather than manage a system. And today, collectors and enthusiasts don't chase the W123 for attention or status. They preserve it out of respect, because this car represents an era when manufacturers believed their reputation depended on how long their cars survived, not how often they were replaced. And when you see a W123 still driving calmly through modern traffic, it doesn't feel outdated. It feels confident, as if it knows it has already proven everything it needed to prove. And that is why the Mercedes-Benz W123 is remembered not as a classic, not as a luxury car, but as a benchmark, a reminder that when something is built with patience, discipline, and purpose, it doesn't need to be loud to be legendary. It simply needs to last. And in a world where almost everything is temporary, the W123 stands as a quiet statement that true engineering never expires.